15,000. Those of you that know the Redfern ground would need no reminding that that's really sardine territory. And there was a swinging arm in that tackle from young Funnell. Penalty to Souths. I see David Boyle walking among the South Sydney forwards, telling them to cool it and settle. Don't let that upset you.
Wait till the shoe's on the other foot.
I was just going to say that. I can't quite believe my eyes. Won't take long, I wouldn't think, for that to change. Saints inside the 10. Penalty to the Rabbits. Little Craig Coleman comes back with the ball with a smile from ear to ear. There he is, the South Sydney half. Neil Baker taking the shot, finding the line, sending the ball into the crowd. Mario Fennick takes the tap, gives it to Coleman. It's come to Baker. Short ball then to the centre Murphy. To the blind, from Boyle to Baker to Coleman, and now that's Ellison. He's got out of the tackle inside. Coleman! 10 out. Sweep to the right required. Ackery. Baker stepping off the right, getting off it again. He'll nearly score. He has! Baker! They all thought he was going to kick. 1 minute 45 into the match. Everybody thought that all Neil Baker could do is kick the ball. He shaped to it, and then he just stepped off the right twice. That was the first, that was the second, and then bingo! South Sydney, first points inside the 2-minute marker.
Baker faked the kick here, but he still had a lot of St. George defence in front of him. Stepped off the right foot and was able to thread his way through 1, 2 tackles, and over he goes to score the first South Sydney try.
My goodness, hasn't he carried some weight with the South Sydney side? Every game plan, every tactic that Ron Willey has ever written or spoken about, this man's name, I'm sure, has played an important part. Baker, 15 in. He's missed it. Well, that's not too bad for you, Neil, though. 4 out of 6. South leading the Dragons. What a start. And really, St. George put themselves in that position through giving 2 penalties that carried South from right here back to a scoring position. Ziggy Niszczot, playing his 100th first grade game, is out. He's not with us at the moment, Ziggy. I was about to tell you that this man on his back at the moment, which isn't the best picture we can bring to you of a man playing 100 games for the club first grade. He's never played a minor grade game. He joined them in 1980. That was the year of your Tooth Cup win, Bill, wasn't it? Was it not?
No, 1981 we won the Tooth Cup, but he came from Newcastle in 1980, and that was the year South Sydney finished 5th in the competition.
And this was the tackle. They went high, low, and every which way. And Ziggy was left on the bottom of it. He's really in Disneyland, too. I'm just looking at McKenna holding him up. South's winning a scrum, and they needed to because they're playing 1 man down. That's Ziggy. Here's David Boyle hitting it out, settling it.
Ziggy'd be desperate to get back onto the field. To my memory, I can't place him not finishing a match.
Ackery. Steve Funnell, the tackler, in 9. Here's Fennick. That's to get out of dummy half, and he's done it again.
There's some fairly threadbare defence by St. George, and going back to Wednesday night in our night match when they played against North Sydney, they started the same way.
Yes, that is true. I can recall still saying at the 20-minute marker that Norths were looking the better side. To the blind for South to kick, and Baker does that. He's looking for the touchline, but he's going to put it over the dead ball line. It'll come out to the 22 for the place kick restart by the Dragons. Niszczot's okay. That's the first time he's been unaided since the hit. Saints come back now. 30 metres out. And Mr. Fennick has been called out for his tackle on Guida, the hooker. Well, it's no place for the faint-hearted out there, but then again, I suppose we all came here expecting it to be just this way. They are one of the toughest packs of forwards in Sydney South. He's going to give the penalty. Minor grades, thirds to Saints, reserves to Saints. Going for the trifecta. Mike Beattie finds the line. 8 metres on the St. George side of the halfway. One forward hit up. South inside the 10. And Beattie takes another touch finder. The crowd out on the hill is getting plenty of fielding practice. Robert Stone will take this tap from just outside the 22 line. Steve Funnell works the blind. He's very close to the touch line. Slippery Steve Morris has put it behind him. 6 more, says the referee. Dummy half is Guida. He's bleeding from a head wound. Ackery the tackler. Now with Jarvis. 10 metres from the line. Trailing 4-0. The Dragons coming back now. Low ball. Well taken. Good pass O'Grady. Walsh hit it up hard. And, Neil Baker really came out on the bottom side of that ledger. Haddock trying to squeeze the ball out that wasn't there. And it's a scrum. Success rate for both hookers. That has just boosted South's hooker just a fraction. Played by Coleman. Blindside run by Carberry. Stone and Walsh hitting and hitting in combination. Boyle. Now Baker. Fielded by Brian Johnson. Back over the halfway line. Tackled by Ellison. Haddock. That's Funnell. Jarvis. Hard and strong. Haddock. O'Grady. Grubbing for the touchline and finding it. Deep inside South's 22 line. Steve Rogers and Craig Young still keeping the seats warm, watching.
Rogers played in the 3rd grade today and came through unscathed, so that'll be good news for all South Sydney, for all St. George supporters.
South's winning it. Coleman, you want to be careful. Yes, I thought so. He's walked off the mark and given the penalty. Referee is McCallum. Greg McCallum. Well, Craig Coleman should know better.
Particularly with this fellow in the opposition. Oh, Steve Gearon.
And is he kicking with accuracy. 78.9. That's a success rate and a half, isn't it, for Steve Gearon? "22 metres out. 5 in from touch. Hits it sweetly. I like it. It's a goal. You just can't give him a kick. Give him a kick and you give them 2 points. South 4, Saints 2. NEC big game. Dummy half Morris. Out to Stone. Knocked down by Souths. And they've got possession. Played by Ackery. This is Boyle. Biles. 5 meters out from the line. Carberry. Baker. It's a well-placed kick between the fullback and the winger. Johnson bringing it back to the halfway now. Gearan folds in to help him. Gearan losing it on the first occasion. Jarvis. That's Guida. He's looking for Beattie. Turn back to Stone. Now to Jarvis. Turn back for Fraser. Fraser's 30 metres out. Perry Haddock. Haddock has tackled 15 out. Souths at 6s and 7s as the Dragons throw it about. Funnel throws the desperate pass. Just trying to do too much with it in the final wash-up. But they really had Souths all over the paddock as they kept throwing the ball about. Carberry. Or is it Ellison? It's Ellison the lock. Almost on the 22 line. Baker. Another well-placed kick. Down inside the 22 line.
No doubt that's going to be the story of the game, with the ball getting kicked from one end of the field to the other.
Johnson has beaten Murphy. Haddock. Jarvis. Funnel. Beautiful piece of work by Funnel. It didn't reap the rewards that it deserved. Souths have come up with it. Bobji. Coleman, Carberry. Coleman, Boyle. Should go back to the blind now. One would think they've opened up a pretty big one, but it's Fennick running the open to Ackery. Murphy, Biles, but the pass has gone forward. And he's going to put the scrum down. Won by St. George, O'Grady, Johnson, Beattie, the overlap is there. Oh, the centres.
They just jammed up a little bit, Ray, didn't
they?
Johns came in to take a pass, and he would have been better to stay wide.
This is Johns. Tackle midway between the 22 and halfway. South end of the ground. Jarvis. A willing worker for St. George in the first 25 minutes of this one. Haddock, Stone, Walsh, turning it back for Stone. Stone not quite knowing which way to go. Haddock, Guida, wide ball, out then for Johns. The centre, he's going to go very close. But Niszczot rounds him up. Very close to the line on tackle number 5. Guida. He's put a foot into touch. You'll find the dummy half. Guida put a foot into touch at dummy half. South winning the scrum. Ellison. Niszczot to the 22. Baker. Baker's kick going down to Brian Johnson. Taken nicely. Again, he's beaten Terry Murphy. Brian Johnson, one of the best running fullbacks in the business. Haddock, Jarvis, across, and the hit and spin. It's gone to ground. That's with Stone now.
Morris gone into dummy half looking for a run, and he's very dangerous from this area.
Guida, who's playing really the role of a second halfback. If Perry Haddock isn't there, Chris Guida is. Haddock, O'Grady, Graham, jinking for the opening. Picked up by Fenwick. Fenwick's to the halfway. Boyle goes in. There's a bit of a scuffle up in there. Let's have a look at it. This is the NEC replay of the tackle on Fenwick. Wooshka, he missed him, Funnell. He had another go, but that was not so much a hit as a tackle. But it was that first swinging arm from Funnell that has brought us to this situation. And this youngster, 18 years of age, he was the one that let one go in the first tackle. It missed by a mile, I might add. So he's had 2 goes, and he's missed both times.
2 goes for 2 penalties, I'd say.
It looks that way. And here goes the penalty to the Rabbits. No change to the scoreline. 4-2 in favour of Souths, and a monster of a kick from Neil Baker. This fella. Tap taken by Fenwick to Coleman, to Fenwick to Hardy. He's put it down on the first. Oh, gee. That's bad. Guida.
St. George appear to be conscious of the fact that they've got to try to nullify Baker's kicking game, but the other area they've got to work on if they're going to win the match is they've got an advantage out wide in the back line. They've got a lot of pace out there, and they're just not using it. They're allowing themselves to be turned back inside by the South Sydney backs, and they've got to overcome that by either using a short chip game or standing deeper themselves. But St. George, they've got to hit their back line.
What a hit that was. On Funnell, too. So Beattie takes the kick for touch. And instead of South probably still enjoying their 6 tackles, unfortunately for them, Bill Hardy put it down on the first. Since then, they've given the penalty, and they find themselves having to do the tackling. Guida playing a prominent role, this fellow. I'll tell you now, he was going to be my man of the match on Wednesday night. I was shocked when they brought him off so early. As a result, I think that Perry Haddock caught him up and probably just nosed him. Funnell out wide. Oh, Fenwick went for a tackle that was a touch high. Fraser. Haddock, O'Grady. Shoots off to Ziggy Niszczot's flank. And Niszczot tackled 32 metres out. No marker. That's Neville, the centre. Coleman. Hardy. Oh! Stone. He sent him off. Robert Stone's been sent. Well, I don't think it needed this penalty. Certainly wasn't what you would call a stiff arm. It was high. He sent him off. That rather surprises me. What about you, Bill?
Yes, I'm very surprised too. I think it was a tackle that Stone tried to pull out of. He appeared to hit above the shoulder, but there was no malice in it at all.
Carberry.
I can remember a game here, Ray, we did earlier in the year when Manly had a man sent off and they were still able to win the match.
That's right. Good passing by Souths. Ellison draws them. Neville. Now it's Murphy! He's put it down!
Well, that was a great cover defending tackle by Graham O'Grady. He came from the clouds to stop that try.
Well, now Souths, it appears, have fallen straight into the pattern that they must, and that is to stretch this ball, work for the overlap that just has to be there. Brian Johnson. Penalty to St. George. Well, talking about that day here when Manly had the player sent off, I think it was Ryan. He was exonerated, or cautioned was he, and went off with a reprimand. The penalty suddenly started flooding their way. And it's happened so many times with teams having a player set off. I'm wondering what the penalty count will be from this point in time onwards, Peter Frelingos. We might keep that one if you don't mind. Tap taken by Gaida, and taking it ahead is Jarvis. Peter Frelingos, of course, keeps our stats on Sundays. Funnel, good work. Oh, here's Morris, exploding away. He's kicked ahead. Biles has covered up. Well, I think he may have kicked a little bit prematurely there, but it's not for me to tell Steve Morris what to do. I must say, Boyle! I must say he was sadly lacking in support, Morris. He nearly had to send a telegram to find anybody that belonged to him. But if he had kept running across the ground, maybe he would have linked up with Steve Gearan. It's penalty for Souths. 35 out from their own line. Kick by Baker, another good one. In fact, his line kicking has been a feature of the game. Some beaut kicks. Coleman, Baker, Carberry. It's a good hit by O'Grady, but Carberry's still got it away to Boyle, on to Coleman. Long ball out to Neville, over the halfway. Now to Niszczot. Niszczot beautifully cut down by the number 9. That's Funnel. Now Coleman, Baker, Ellison. He's playing well, Ellison. Coleman again. Now Ackery. Ackery tackled 32 metres out from the St. George line. Fennick. Oh, Baker! Looking for his supports. Looking for his supports. And Murphy. Murphy's passed the ball. Niszczot picks it up. And Niszczot scores. Ziggy Niszczot scores for South Sydney. Baker ran into a huge gap. I thought it may have broken down when Murphy passed the ball, but apparently the ball was backwards. Pennick to Baker. Baker just kept looking for that support on his left. He found Murphy. Murphy's pass, it went behind, and so it was play on, and Niszczot had all the time in the world. In fact, St. George were down and out. They'd taken the count.
Fennick started it all when he made good yardage out of dummy half and committed players from the defensive line to come in and make a tackle. Baker carried the play on and found himself running into a gap. We can see the pass here goes to Terry Murphy. He's unable to make it to the try line, but he does release the pass. Ziggy Niszczot scoops it up, and I don't think he could believe his luck when he looked up and saw no one in front of him. And over he goes to score the second South Sydney try.
Ziggy Niszczot celebrating his 100th game with a try. And from a pretty wide angle, Baker has got it. Baker has kicked the goal. So what a game he's having. Neil Baker, South Sydney 10, St. George 2. And Steve Funnel has been replaced. I wonder is Funnel injured, or whether Masters has thought, I better get him out of this pot of boiling water before it's too late.
No, he did appear to be injured. He'd been carrying the shoulder for the last 5 or 10 minutes.
All righty. I'd prefer to think that way, for the kid's sake anyway. Boyle now to play it just outside the 22. Carberry. 10-2 in favour of Souths. About 4 minutes of this half to go. Baker. Haddock went for the charge down, but Baker's kick is another good one. Deep inside St. George territory. And the crowd roars because that's the first time Brian Johnson hasn't been able to beat the first line of defence. Beattie. Guider. Gee, you'd like to have 13 of him, wouldn't you? Guider, he just doesn't know when to take a rest. Jarvis.
Oh, but is this fella?
Haddock. That's going. Yeah, he's found touch. Well, poor old Les Biles. Or poor young Les Biles, I should say. He thought that'll go out on the full for sure. That's the South number 5, Biles, but it just got inside the touchline. Play is just on the South Sydney side of the halfway. It's with O'Grady and taken by Baker.
That was a good heel by St. George. They've got a 5-man pack and they were still able to come up with the ball against the head and the feet.
Beattie. Midway 22 halfway. South end of the paddock. Win. That's Johns. Dummy half Morris. Haddock. Long ball to O'Grady. Now Beattie. Well done by Beattie. Johnson in possession. Taken by Hardy. Gearan. Little kick through, and then he was taken late. It's a penalty to St. George. Gearan was taken late. See it? Just a little bit of a hands, knees, and boomsadacey. And he's given the penalty against Boyle. That's the 22 line where Gearan has the ball placed. Johnston sitting next to him too. As Gearan gets the goal, and Saints come back to 10 points to 4 now.
One to go, Winnie.
Baker's kick is a huge one, taken by Gearan. Graham Wynn. Played well in reserve grade. Graham Wynn. That's Jarvis. Walsh. Wynn now taking over the kicking that Funnel was doing. This is Pobji. And there's the siren. The end of the first 40 minutes and second half underway off the boot of Neil Baker, who would be leading, I suppose, in the minds of most people as the man of the match for Souths so far. Jarvis. Is getting across Redfern. Fraser running very strongly. Graham Wynn with the clear. Down to Pobji. And taken about 35 metres out from his own line. Who'd be leading the Saints now, Bill, was Stone watching the game from the benches?
Graham O'Grady's the captain from the 5'8" position.
So Saints coming up with a ball that was coughed up, and this is big Graham Wynn playing in 17. He came on and replaced Steve Funnel. This is Jarvis. scrum just outside the South 22. The penalties 8-6 to South. The scrums are 5-5. And a penalty to St. George. Michael Beattie taking the kick for line. And the tap to be taken about 8 metres inside the quarter. Oh, that was a good, strong run by Chris Walsh. He's taken them within about 5 metres of the line. And that's Pat Jarvis now. Saints desperately need to score. Jarvis, I think he's done it. No, he couldn't get it down, he said. Well, I'll be done. Thought he had it down for sure. Here he is. Launching himself at the line. Well, I'm not sure whether he was short or whether he didn't get it down or what happened. But anyway, the referee ruled that he was over but couldn't get it down. And now it's South with Ellison coming outside the 22 line. David Boyle throwing the dummy and jinking back off the left foot. Coleman cutting out Ackery, giving it to Carberry. Hardy. Oh, Hardy's let one go. Graham Wynn has gone down. I think he might have got him on the point of the chin. Graham is sort of saying, I'm all right, but the hammer got me. Hardy was taken by Wynn. He lost the ball just for a fraction here. He got it back in again. Beattie was hanging on like an obedient servant. And then Hardy said, I don't like that. And coming out of all this, he comes up and goes, ping. There it goes. And Graham Wynn has gone to the ground. And Saints have come up with the penalty. Only went 6 inches, but Graham Wynn certainly did his job. He got the penalty for Saints.
Well, it looks like maybe up to the little men again to pull St. George out of the fire. Guider and Haddock are having great games and haven't stopped trying.
Here's Wynn. More I see of the last few seconds of play involving Graham Wynn, I'm starting to wonder whether that punch of Bill Hardy's might have missed the mark completely. He's done fairly well since. Now the report's through on Funnel. He has a bruised shoulder, apparently. Paul Ackery. Coleman. That's Ellison. Taken by Walsh. 10-4, South Sydney. Baker. Taken by Johnson. Baker was knocked over after he kicked the ball, and the referee acknowledged that he'd seen it and there was no drama, but Baker is still down. Baker's still down. If Baker was foxing for a penalty, he's been down for a hell of a long time. Boyle. Carberry. Coleman. Baker's back on his feet. Now it's Hardy to play it on his own quarter line. Carberry. Ellison. What a bad kick, sending Johnson back inside the 22 line. Oh dear. That's the second time Brian Johnson has thrown that ball to a support. He did it earlier with Gearin. South picking up the penalty against the Dragons pack. Now the tap to be taken by Niszczot. 12 metres out. Fennick, Coleman, Fennick, Hardy! Gee, he hit that ball up hard. Coleman. And put down by Neville. Jarvis. Haddock. O'Grady. Johns. He's through! What a beautiful split to the halfway. Beatty positions himself nicely. That's Beatty. Oh! Brian Johnson was taken in a heavy tackle. Haddock. O'Grady. Johns. He's through! What a beautiful split to the halfway. Beatty positions himself nicely. That's Beatty. Oh! Brian Johnson was taken in a heavy tackle by Pobji. Great attack by St. George. Absolutely great stuff. Boy, did that Chris Johns go. O'Grady. Jarvis. Good tackle by Fennick. Great tackle by Mario Fennick. This will be a penalty.
I said it last week against Parramatta, and I'll stand by it again in this game today. St. George playing South. So if you're going to beat South Sydney, you've got to get the ball out wide against them and not allow yourself to be turned back inside. That was one of the few occasions when Saints have got the ball with their fast outside backs and they made good yardage.
Gee, that was a great run by Chris Johns. This is Ackery. Boyle. Carberry. He's played well, Mike Carberry. Very strong. Fennick. Coleman. Baker. Through Neville. It's out with Murphy. Baker. And, well, I guess when your averages are as high as Neil Baker's have been, something had to go wrong. 5 gone now for St. George. Beatty puts it up. Midfield bomb. And taken well by Michael Pobji. Baker. That's Neville. Coleman to Ackery. On to Carberry. Picked up by O'Grady. Given to Jarvis. Now to Haddock. 32 metres out from the South Sydney line. Jarvis. Straight ahead runner. Knows no other way. Haddock switching it blind for Graham Wynn. They're on the 22 line, south end of the ground. Haddock, Morris. Morris throws the dummy, goes himself. Stevie Morris, he'll score. Oh, a brilliant try. Brilliant solo performance. Slippery Steve Morris. He dummied back to Haddock on the runaround, and then he just took off, and he went into a gap, and then he came to the fullback, and the fullback, Michael Popji, could be forgiven for saying, where the hell did he get to?
Steve Morris has been an Achilles heel for Souths over a number of years. Here we can see he just fakes on a run around, found a hole, and if Morris gets in the clear, there's no way you can catch him, and over he goes to score the first 4-pointer for the Dragons.
Yeah, he's a brilliant player, this fellow. And brilliant, I think, is the right word to use to describe Steve Morris. 10-8 now. And this will be 10-all with Gearon kicking. No worries. We're all level. South Sydney and St. George. 10 points all. That's the medicine that St. George needed. Baker restarts it. Fraser. Look at this. Now you're seeing some of the reasons why a lot of people think the Dragons will be there on grand final day. They're doing this with 12 men, and how? Big Graham win. Back in first grade as a replacement. Steve Gearon just absolutely blinded them with his pace. And St. George lead by 14-10.
Guida started it all when he ran out of dummy half and was able to make the initial break. He found Jarvis inside. Jarvis released a Graham win. And look at the strength of the man here as he pushes through 2 tackles. And then, like a good winger, Steve Gearon positioned himself on the inside, pins his ears back, and away goes Gearon. And look at this for a finishing winger. Over goes Gearon, and that's got Saints out of some real trouble.
Oh, and wasn't there some emotion that followed the try? The emotion was unbelievable. Gearon from right in front, and he takes St. George to a 16 points to 10 lead. They were trailing 10-4 2 minutes ago. Here's another replay for you. In the NEC big game, that's the camera down ground level near the dead ball line. And look at this. Whoopee, said Steve Gearon. And shades of English soccer and continental soccer as the embracing took place. And they frolicked around there. Let's come back to it live now. And Brian Johnson for St. George. Tackled just outside the 22.
Souths can get back into this game, but they're going to find it hard. I think they would have thought they had the match won, and St. George have come home very strongly.
Gearon. Souths had it shot to pieces. Darren McCarthy on in jumper 15. Coming off is Murphy, the centre. Walsh. Talk about hold that tiger. What about holding this dragon? Unbelievable. Another bust from Guida. Haddock switching it to Beattie. Can he link up?
guy that's putting St. George in tremendous positions here, and South Sydney under a lot of pressure with some great dummy half running.
22 metres out, Haddock runs the blind, picks up Johnson, the fullback, and taken by Ackery and Biles. That's Fraser. Bomb, no, it's a shot for drop goal. There still could be a try come from it. There will be. No, he's offside. He's still Morris offside. Have a look at Steve Morris. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. Well, he was right on the 22 line when he took this shot for goal. And Morris, looking at that replay, I would say had to be in front of the kicker. 16-10. And St. George putting it all together in a passage of play that spanned no more than 3 minutes. Since Robert Stone got sent off, by the way, the penalties have favoured Saints 5-3. 5-4 now. 5-4 now. 26 for Souths. Who's that, Bill?
Greg Evans.
Greg Evans, is it? He came on for Bill Hardy. Here's Coleman. Is that Darren McCarthy? It is. A great run by Darren. Just outside the 22 line. Dummy half is Biles. Out to Coleman. They've got to stretch it wide to the left. They've got to keep pushing this ball. Ellison. Baker. Turned away for Carberry. Now to Niszczot. Inside the 22 line. And crushed to the ground by Wynn and Morris. Now the stretch to the right must be on. Ackery. Held by Jarvis. 15 out. I can see Haddock telling players to go to the left, go to the left. We've got the blind covered. Fennick, long ball, Ellison, Neville, a metre from the line.
What a great tackle that was in cover defence.
Panic stations right across the St. George line. Penalty to South. Well, I'm wondering whether the referee's thinking it. He has professional foul. 10 minutes in the bin for Brian Johnson, the fullback.
Saved the try, but St. George now down to 11 men.
St. George, 11 and counting down. Wow, this is one of the most memorable matches of 1984, and we've still got 15 minutes to go. I don't think I'll have much voice left at the end of this one, but who cares? I didn't even pay to get in. There, Dick. I'm going back to the gate to pay something. That'll be Dave. Neil Baker, 20 in. He's missed it. He's missed it.
Well, I thought that was a bad mistake by St. George.
Oh,
the players, they had a great opportunity to catch that ball and run it back into the field of play, and they let it go dead. He's got some tired players out there.
Well, if St. George win this, it'll be one of the gutsiest performances ever.
And there's another one down in the back plate. St. George have got 10 men on their feet at the moment.
Who's down? Chris Walsh over in front of the scoreboard. They've got 10 men. Coleman turns it inside for Fennick. Fennick gives it to Evans.
I reckon Roy Masters would pay $100 to get this ball at the moment. Let me up.
Scrum packing. 15 metres on the St. George side of the... And now Graham Wynn has gone to ground. So the St. George reserve bench is now sent into motion. It'll be Buckley and Note. Billy Note's in 40. I didn't see what Graham was in. So,
be careful, Perry.
Penalty, South. You've read it again, Anderson. You've read it again. Geez, that cricket side will improve, I reckon. You having the number 2 say. only joking. Here's the tap to be taken. 15 out from the St. George line. Nobody sitting down here. Niszczot. 16-10 in favour of the St. George side. South stretching it. Pobji makes the extra. Beautiful ball by McCarthy to Biles. Biles is tackled 15 away. The crowd goes back to their seat again. Inside the 22-way line. From Boyle. It's with Ellison. Put down by Neville. And another scrum.
And don't the Dragons need this ball?
The scrum will go down just inside the St. George 22, and they have an excellent chance of coming up with it. Excellent chance. They've only got 5 backs. They've won the ball. Haddock kills it. That's what they'll do, the Dragons. Nothing flash. Jarvis. Still, the reserve bench hasn't moved. They're stripped, but they haven't moved. Perry Haddock. Graham Wynn. Midway 22, halfway. Saints into the ground. 13 minutes to go. O'Grady. Jinking into an opening. Getting a pass to Beattie. Now to Gearan. Shapes to kick and doesn't.
Well, how would they be with 13 this mob?
I don't know, but on this form, I can see now why people were talking about them as premiership hopes. That was a drop kick across the ground, looking for Morris again, and Niszczot is tackled by Chris Guida. Now it's Souths on their own 22. Pobji will play it. They'll give the penalty if they don't get off him. Baker. Fennick. Mario with a big run. St. George have got the ball. Souths look to me as though they know what they've got to do to beat them, but they just can't put it together for long enough.
They're playing against a very committed St. George group of players. And Graham Buckley's moved to the sideline now, and no doubt he's going to be going on as soon as he can.
Gearan, just outside the 22-way line. Some of these St. George players, their fuel tank, they must be running on the emergency tank. Goodness gracious, they've had to pull out everything. O'Grady, Fraser!
Oh, they've got to kick a forward goal, St. George. That'll give them that extra 1-point cushion they need.
They're on the last tackle. Graham Wynn. Grub kicks ahead. He's been held. It'll be a penalty. It is. It's a penalty to the Saints. It had to be. Wynn kicked and then was held out of it. And it's a professional foul on the South Sydney player, David Boyle. David Boyle, 10 minutes in the bin. Wynn kicked and then Boyle held him. It had to be a penalty. And Wynn's been, replaced? Yes, Wynn replaced. And Boyle in the sin bin. Well, what a match it's been for not only that man, Graham Wynn. Graham Buckley's on for him. But this referee, McCallum, he had a job and a half today. 4 from 4 for the straight shooter. Gearan, successful. I'm not going to tell you that's the ball game because don't you believe it. Now it's 18-10 in favour of the Dragons. 5 metres into South territory. They'll probably kick here. Haddock's decided to push the ball. Beattie turns it. Gearan unable to clean it up. That's another turnover. Souths will come up with it on the halfway. Baker. That's Neville dummying and coming back, and then the ball has been stolen. Penalty Souths. This tap will be taken just beyond the St. George 22. St. George miles inside the 10. Ackery. Coleman running the blind. Carberry hits it up flat. Coleman, Baker, Neville, Baker, McCarthy. Good shoulder hit by Darren. He's inside the 22. Gee, the more I see of this kid, I find it hard to believe he's in reserve grade. Now it's Fennick, one-handed at Coleman, back to Neville, onto Ackery, but they're doing plenty of passing and not going anywhere. McCarthy actually set the scene. He showed them which way to go.
Showing all the danger signs of a tired team, the Rabbits.
Now it's with Ellison. The kick will be cleaned up by Johnson, but Ellison's been felled late. Ellison's been put down late, and there's more sin bin territory. Chris Walsh has been given 10 minutes in the sin bin for the late tackle. Chris Walsh, 10 minutes in the sin bin. What a sensational game this has been.
What happens if you left with no one on?
I don't know. We'll just pack up and go home. Oh, Carberry's knocked on the first. Carberry has knocked on the first tackle. So, Souths are now got 12 men. St. George are back to 11. St. George win the scrum and little Perry Haddock is tackled. Steve Morris will run it. Watch him on the 22-metre line. His own end of the ground. We're inside the last 5, well and truly. Buckley inside the last 2. O'Grady thinking about passing and then opting not to. Well, Billy Noak, the number 40 for St. George, he went to the sidelines to replace Chris Walsh. Walsh said, get away, get out of it. That'll find touch, will it? Now it's taken a curl, come back infield. This is Biles. Now Biles with a long run to the halfway. But Billy Noak, he's been sent back to the bench now. The man he was supposed to replace is now doing 10 minutes in the bin. Penalty to South. Inside the 5 against the St. George side. But time has got South Sydney beaten as Neil Baker finds the line. What a magic game this man has had, Neil Baker. Not deserving of a player on a losing side. Across to Darren McCarthy. Now to Pobsy, on to Biles. Biles is held outside the 22 line. The seconds are ticking away. I'm just looking at Peter Frelingos writing his Daily Mirror story. He normally uses 5 pages. Today he's written 15. Trying to keep up with the chapters of incidents that have happened through this match. Carberry to play it now. Just outside the 22 line. Across for Coleman. Fennick on the run around. Making the bust. Turning it back for Ackery. Passes and Coleman can't pick it up. It's still in play. Still in play. And swept up by the Dragons. Players all over the field are down. Players all over the field. I can see 3 of them. The siren has sounded. The siren hasn't sounded. That's what I'm asking. The referee is asking his touch judges, is it time? The referee is asking, is it time? I'm sure. It sure better be. There are kids on there and there are police on there. But I'm looking at one of the St. George players, or more than one of them, scenes of great emotion. 4 or 5 St. George players out there hugging one another. little Perry Haddock. And what a game of rugby league this has been. The score, 18-10 to St. George. Steve Morris and Steve Gearin, the tries. Steve Gearin, 5 goals. And Souths, Baker and Niszczot, the tries. Baker, a goal. Manly yesterday defeating Penrith by 15-14. Illawarra defeating Cronulla 24-8.